Looking at in this lesson is very simply how to hold the guitar, dealing with right hand picking techniques, of course how to hold the pick, and we'll be learning a scale which we'll be using for improvisation and for our soloing called the pentatonic scale. Let's take a look at the right hand now. Let's take a look now at how to hold the pick. Now if you're from England you're probably familiar with the term plectrum to describe this, but a lot of people use the word pick. The pick itself, as you can see, has a wide section here and going to a narrow section here. The narrow section is what makes contact with the strings. Now there are a few ways of holding the pick, and you may wish to find what works well for you, but generally speaking, let's look at some principles that apply. The thumb should go across the mid-range point on right angles like this, that is across there, and the index finger of the right hand will go, you can just see this, along the vertical line of the pick. Make sure you leave enough of the point that it can make contact with the strings. Now, having found that position like that, I would have to say most people do hold the pick like this. However, there are some exceptions whereby you can take the middle finger for support and place it on the pick as well. Once again, make sure the fingers don't overlap the point or you won't make contact with the strings very well. So let's look at this again. Thumb across, first finger down, like that. Again, some people will often try this where they make a fist with the remaining fingers. The thumb will go across and they will grip the pick this way. Personally, I find that a little bit awkward when you're moving down and up and you're playing the strings. But you can try these different techniques and see which works for you. Another possibility is to, once again, thumb across, first finger down, but with these remaining fingers, fan them out a little bit. Sometimes this gives you a certain amount of stability when you're picking down and up. You can try whatever you want to see which works for you. Another strange possibility, but other people have done this, actually there's some famous guitarists that have done this, where they hold the pick with the thumb and their middle finger, not their first finger, holds the pick when they're playing. Sometimes it may feel awkward, but you actually can get quite a steady stream of notes by doing it this way. I'm assuming that's because the middle finger is directly in the mid-palm of your hand and often creates some stability when you're picking. But again, all this is for you to experiment with and see which works. I'm going to hold it the way I hold the pick, which is the thumb across and just one finger down like this. Now let's look at where we place the right hand when we're picking. If you're sitting down when you're practicing, this thing here is called the bridge. The right hand will sit on the bridge like that, and it stays secure and helps you maintain a position while your hand is swinging down and up when you're doing alternate picking, that is a downstroke alternated with an upstroke. Now if we place our hand here like this, we can try picking the first string. I'll just do a simple downstroke followed by a simple upstroke. Now the importance of the angle of the pick in relation to the string will determine how easy the pick moves through the string. If it's flat on and parallel to the string like this, you find there's often a little bit of resistance. You can try this yourself and you'll see. One technique is to angle the edges of the pick so the right hand portion nearest to your right shoulder is on an angle from your right shoulder down towards where your left foot would be. This creates less tension when you're going through the strings compared to when you're flat on. And if you wish to do some rapid picking, you'll actually notice a difference, that the pick does smoothly slice through the string instead of encountering the resistance as it does when you're flat on. You feel the pick gets stuck a little bit. So once again, try angling it. It may not have to be quite so extreme as your right foot, right shoulder to your left foot, but it certainly will give you more fluidity when you're picking. Now what we're going to do is look at playing all 6 strings while resting the right hand. I'm going to do a downstroke and an upstroke on each string here. And back. Now as I come across the strings, I want to be able to slide my wrist while resting up here. If I don't do that, I wind up playing a couple of strings, and when I get to the lower strings here, I'm awkwardly twisting my wrist up. So we want to be able to just simply slide every couple of strings this way, and the same coming back. We maintain our wrist on the bridge, and we move across like this. Now let's look at some things that you shouldn't do. A very bad habit, in my opinion, is if you take your little finger and support it here like this, and the wrist comes off the bridge of the guitar, and you play like that. A lot of guitarists have this as I consider really a bad habit, because it restricts the ability to swing down and up when you're doing alternate picking, and often restricts your ability to play fast when you want to play fast. So try and avoid this thing. Another thing, and this is subtle, if you start off resting and you're picking, you may find halfway through, if you're not used to resting your hand, it'll suddenly come up. And the problem with not resting your hand is it sort of wobbles around when you're trying to play specific notes. And if you're playing something intricate, it's quite easy to hit the wrong string that you intended to hit, whereas down here you have a better chance of being more accurate. Now I'm going to set you up with an exercise to try doing. Just simply rest your hand and do a downstroke and an upstroke on all the strings, going first this way and back this way. But the bad news is, once you've done it once, looking at your right hand, I don't want you to look at your right hand. I want you to try it again, looking completely away, looking across the room or to the left hand of you, of the neck of the guitar. And here it is. Notice how I'm sliding my wrist along, back. And now if you've completed that successfully, you can try the same thing, only beginning with an upstroke. A few things to watch out for. When you are picking, watch this, if I go down up, make sure that upstroke takes you above the next string you intend to hit. You don't want to have to go down up with a little movement and then move it again upwards to do another downstroke. So we try and sweep the distance in our down up motion of the pair of strings that we're playing. Once again, down, up, big upstroke. Now, we should look at the possibility that you're not always going to be playing sitting down. I mean, ideally, you want to be playing with a live band, hopefully on stage in front of a live audience. And one of the things that I found when I started playing leads was practicing everything sitting down with the hand in this position, and then when it came time to play with a band, I was standing up with the guitar strapped around my neck. It turns out that your hand won't sit there as easily, it wants to sit here. So let's look at a few positions standing up in relation to where this hand will sit. I'm standing up now, and I just want to show you where my wrist would rest. If I was down here, it is actually quite awkward to play those lower notes. And as I mentioned earlier, it's okay for the hand to come up here in this position. Now, if you're playing the first string or the second string, it really doesn't matter if this part of your hand actually rests on these 6 strings. Since you're not playing them, it won't matter so much, and you're muting them out. So typically, if I was playing that same exercise, as I get to the 6th string, I just move my hand, still making contact with the body of the guitar over here, and if I want to go back again, I'll even come up onto these strings. Let's take a look. Here I'm wearing a guitar with a strap. Be sure to pick out a comfortable one because guitars are really heavy, and if you're playing for half an hour standing up, it can get sore shoulders. Now, if we look at my right hand, the guitar is very low down now. Now this might look cool, but in terms of practical purposes for playing, at least picking single notes as opposed to rhythms, it's very difficult to play. If I put my hand where I was sitting down on the bridge, this is extremely awkward to play. If I put my hand here, this is much easier. Let's look at another position where we'll have the strap and the guitar much higher up on the body. Now here I've got the guitar almost up around my neck. It's very comfortable, but it does look a bit silly. So somewhere between low down and up near your neck, somewhere down here, where the guitar and your hand meet in a comfortable position is ideal for playing leads. The scale we're going to learn now with the left hand is called the pentatonic scale. Now, penta is 5 in Greek. So this scale consists of 5 notes. We're going to learn 2 versions of it, fingering-wise. Here it is. That'll be version 1. And version 2, where we use the same notes, but we move our left hand to a different position. We're structuring this scale so that we end up playing 2 notes per string. Let's begin on the 8th fret with our little finger on the first string. So here's our first note. And again with an alternative fingering position. Everything's the same till we get to here. Then instead of going there, we play that same note. This note here is the same note as the note we're going to play back here. And we can also try it coming this way. And with the alternative fingering with our 3rd finger here, 6th string, 5th fret. Now I'd like you to play this pattern and play the scale picking down and up. That is alternate picking across and back, and then we'll be ready for the next lesson.